All right, so let's take a little mental trip, to New York City.
Oh, what?
That concrete jungle
Yeah.
with the iconic skyline,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
But today we're going behind those gleaming facades. We're diving deep into the world of office buildings.
Mhm.
And you know what? There's a whole hierarchy there.
Oh, really?
Way more than just height. We're talking about that divide
Yeah.
between the premium A buildings
Right.
and those often overlooked B spaces.
Huh. It's a fascinating dynamic,
Right.
because it reflects so much about the city itself,
Oh yeah.
the power players,
Hmm.
the up-and-comers, that constant churn of ambition. A buildings are like the thoroughbreds of real estate,
Okay.
commanding top dollar because they offer, well, everything.
So we're talking those swanky lobbies
Right,
with
right.
the art installations that nobody understands.
That's part of it, but
Yeah.
it goes way deeper. Think prime locations, cutting-edge design, which often means super high ceilings and those column-free floors
Yeah.
that make the space feel limitless. They're built for efficiency,
Yeah.
packed with tech infrastructure that most companies wouldn't even know what to do with.
Okay, but I'm picturing like massive rents too. Can you give
Yeah,
me a real world example of this A building phenomenon?
yeah. Look no further than One Vanderbilt,
None Vanderbilt.
that
Those.
brand new tower near Grand Central.
Okay.
It's fetching a cool $200 per square foot.
Oh, wow.
They've thought of everything,
Okay.
even Michelin star restaurants tucked away in the
Wow.
building. So they're creating a whole ecosystem.
Mm-mm.
It's not just office space.
Okay. That's a whole different level. So then what's happening to those classic B buildings, the ones that might not have all the bells and whistles? Are they just fading into the background?
Well, that's where things get interesting. You've got iconic structures
Mm-hmm.
like the Chrysler Building, practically a landmark, right?
Yeah.
But even they are facing some stiff competition from these new kids on the block.
Right.
Ski buildings are definitely feeling the pressure.
Okay.
They're often older, maybe a little less glamorous,
Mm-hmm.
but their saving grace is affordability.
Makes sense. Not every business can drop $200 a square foot, no matter how good the coffee is. Our research highlights 322 8th Avenue
Sure.
as a prime example
Mm-hmm.
of a B building trying to make it in this cutthroat market.
Yeah, right.
And that's where the ingenuity comes in, because B
Yeah.
building owners are finding ways to adapt.
Yeah.
Take Jeffrey Burrell, the owner of 322 8th Avenue. He's a fascinating character,
Okay.
a real believer in the long game. He even said, "The richest people are the ones who never sell."
Think about the philosophy there. It's about patience, strategic holding, understanding the real estate is about more than just sleeping properties for quick cash.
There's a certain wisdom in that,
Yeah.
especially in such a volatile market like New York City. But haven't both A and B buildings been hit by the whole work from home trend?
Yeah.
I mean, our source cites a fourfold increase in remote work since 2019.
Yeah.
That's got to leave some empty desks.
No doubt. The pandemic threw a major wrench in the works. But here's the thing. Even in the midst of uh, all that uncertainty, One Vanderbilt managed to open successfully, right in the middle of the pandemic chaos. They
Really?
tapped into something that companies were starting to crave, that focus on a healthy workplace environment.
So it wasn't just about escaping the home office, but finding a place that felt safe, well designed, maybe even a little inspiring. But what about a guy like Grawl, who's dealing with older buildings? How'd he survive that pandemic shakeup?
That's where his financial strategy comes in.
Okay.
While those mega developers are often reliant on loans, complex financing schemes, Goral owns his buildings outright.
Uh.
No hefty mortgage payments, no scrambling to appease investors. It gave him a level of resilience that many didn't have.
So when interest rates started climbing, he wasn't left to sweat and bullets.
Right.
That's a powerful position to be in. But back to those healthy workplace environments, what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah.
Is it just fancy air filters
No,
and more hand sanitizer dispensers?
it's much more than that. We're talking about thoughtful design
Okay.
that prioritizes natural light, maybe even incorporates some outdoor spaces. Think about air quality, flexible layouts that don't feel cramped, and amenities that actually support employee well-being.
So it's almost like these A buildings are trying to create an experience
Oh,
a destination rather than just a place to park your laptop for 8 hours.
precisely. And they're attracting a certain type of tenant,
Mm,
those who see their office space as an extension of their brand,
right.
way to attract talent
Mm.
and foster collaboration.
Okay, but let's be real. Not every business is a Google or a Facebook.
Right.
Can B buildings possibly compete with that level of sophistication?
It's a valid question,
Yeah.
and honestly, it might not be about direct competition.
Okay.
Our source suggests that there's a potential reawakening of the bee market.
Right.
It's about recognizing that there will always be businesses looking for solid, functional spaces
Right.
without all the bells and whistles.
So it's all about finding the right fit for your needs, your budget. But how are bee building owners actually stepping up their game to meet these evolving demands? I mean, besides just slapping on a fresh coat of paint.
Well, they're getting creative. Coral, for example, is investing in targeted upgrades for 322 8th Avenue. Think a brand new lobby, a free coffee bar, those little touches that make a difference
Yeah.
without breaking the bank. He's trying to create a sense of community, a place where people actually want to be, even if it's not the most glamorous address in town.
That's smart. It's about playing to your strength. But there's another layer to this whole office building saga
Yeah.
that I find fascinating. Our source mentions the possibility of converting these spaces into something completely different. Residential units.
Ah, yes, the great office to apartment conversion wave.
Yeah.
It's particularly relevant in a city like New York,
Right.
where affordable housing is a constant concern. But let me tell you, it's not as simple as just knocking down some walls and calling it a day.
I bet there are a ton of logistical hurdles. What kind of challenges do developers face with these conversion projects?
Well, for starters, you've got to meet stringent uh, building codes,
Like,
ensuring proper ventilation, fire safety, all those critical details. Then there's the sheer cost of it all. It's a massive undertaking requiring a whole different set of expertise. You're essentially reimagining the very purpose of a building, which is a pretty big deal.
absolutely. Our source highlights a really interesting example. Brian Steinwurzel's project at 1.5 Water Street. He's actually creating smaller apartments in a converted office tower, specifically targeting that need for more affordable housing options.
It's a bold move, and it speaks to a larger trend. We're seeing a shift away from the idea that bigger is always better. People are prioritizing functionality, efficient use of space, and of course affordability.
So we've got this whole ecosystem of office buildings in New York City.
Yep.
The A buildings aiming for the stars,
Right.
the B buildings finding their niche, and now this whole conversion wave, adding another layer of complexity. It's a lot to digest.
It really is, and it reflects a broader truth about real estate.
Yeah.
It's never static. It's constantly evolving, responding to changing demographics, economic forces, even global pandemic.
And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? It's a window into the soul of a city, a reflection of our aspirations, our challenges, and ultimately our adaptability. But before we get too philosophical, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and really unpack what all this means for you, our listener.
Okay.
We'll explore how to navigate this complex market, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out.
Oh, good.
Okay, so we've kind of laid out the landscape. A buildings are shooting for the moon.
Right.
B buildings adapting to survive, and this whole conversion trend shaking things up.
Yep.
But let's get down to brass tacks here.
Okay.
If I'm an entrepreneur, pounding the pavement in New York City, what are the real world differences between these spaces beyond like the obvious price tag? What am I actually getting?
Well, when you're talking A buildings, those premium rents, you're buying more than just uh, a fancy address. You're getting access to, like, column-free floors,
Right.
which might sound like a small thing, but it means incredible flexibility for layout. Tech companies, creative agencies, they love that open, adaptable space.
So it's not just about impressing clients with a fancy lobby.
Right.
There's actual functionality baked into the design.
Exactly. And remember those super high ceilings.
Yeah.
That's not just about aesthetics. It creates this sense of airiness, spaciousness,
Yeah.
which can impact everything from employee morale to productivity, and don't forget the infrastructure. A buildings are wired for the future
Yeah.
with robust tech capabilities
Yeah.
that can handle any bandwidth demands.
So you're saying they're not just buildings, they're
Yeah.
practically ecosystems
Right.
designed to support businesses at every level.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And that includes the whole work-life integration piece. A buildings often incorporate amenities
Mhm.
like fitness centers, even childcare facilities,
Yeah.
trying to create this one-stop shop for employees' needs.
So they're almost like mini cities within the city itself. But what about B buildings? What can they offer that might actually appeal to certain businesses?
Well, affordability is a big one,
Right.
especially for startups, nonprofits, companies that might not have the deep pockets. For an A building, that lower rent can be a lifesaver.
But are they sacrificing quality for cost?
Not necessarily. B buildings can have their own charm, a
Yeah.
sense of history, and often a more unique character. Plus, many owners are realizing they need to step up their game
Right.
to compete. They're investing in strategic renovations, adding those little touches that make a difference.
Like Gural's Coffee Bar
Exact.
at 322 8th Avenue, a small investment that creates that sense of community. He seems to understand that it's about more than just four walls and a desk.
Absolutely. And he's not alone. Many B building owners are targeting niche tenants, catering
Oh.
to specific industries or needs. They're becoming more specialized, which can actually be a strength in a crowded market.
It's like they're finding their lane, focusing on what they do best instead of trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that conversion trend for a minute.
Okay.
Is this really a viable solution to New York City's housing crisis?
It's certainly part of the conversation. Think about it. You've got all these aging office buildings, some struggling to attract tenants. Converting them into residential units could be a win-win,
Right.
addressing the housing shortage while giving those buildings a new lease on life.
But you mentioned all those logistical challenges earlier.
Yeah.
Building codes, costs, the complexity of it all. Are we just talking about a drop in the bucket here, or could this actually make a dent in the housing problem?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but consider this. A single office tower could potentially house hundreds of people. If done strategically, these conversions could contribute significantly to the affordable housing stock. Of course, it requires collaboration between developers, city planners, even community groups.
So it's not just a real estate play; it's a
Right.
social issue with huge implications for the city. But I'm curious for our listener, who might be thinking about their own office space needs. What are the key questions they should be asking themselves?
Yeah, first and foremost, what kind of work do they do? What's their company culture like?
Yeah.
If collaboration and face-to-face interaction are crucial, maybe a traditional office space is the way to go. But if they're more remote-first company, a co-working space or even a virtual office might be a better fit.
So it's about aligning your space with your work style
Yeah.
and your company's overall goals. But there's got to be more to it than that, right?
Absolutely. Think about your budget, of course, but also things like location.
Yeah.
Is it important to be in a specific neighborhood, close to clients, or easily accessible
Right.
for employees?
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of amenities. Do they need uh, meeting rooms, event spaces, those extra perks that can make a difference in employee satisfaction?
It's about thinking beyond just the square footage,
Yeah.
considering the whole package. And this is where that quote from Gural comes back to me. The richest people are the ones who never sell. It's about having that long-term vision.
Precisely. Don't just jump at the first shiny new building or the cheapest rent you can find. Consider your company's trajectory, where you want to be in 5, 10 years. Choose a space that can grow with you, adapt to your evolving needs.
It's about playing chess, not checkers, anticipating the next move, not just reacting to the current situation. But with all this talk about A buildings and their fancy amenities, I'm starting to wonder: is the humble office even necessary anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this rise of remote work, the blurring of lines between work and life. Are we heading towards a future where the physical office becomes obsolete?
That's a question a lot of people are are grappling with.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's no easy answer. The role of the office is definitely changing. It's no longer just about showing up and punching the clock.
Mm.
It's becoming more of a hub
Okay.
for collaboration, connection, even creativity.
So it's not about being tethered to a desk, but about having a space that facilitates those interactions
Right.
that can be harder to replicate
Uh,
virtually.
exactly. Think brainstorming sessions, team
Mm.
building activities, those spontaneous conversations that spark innovation. The office can be a catalyst for those moments,
Yeah.
especially for companies that prioritize culture and teamwork.
But what about those who thrive in the solitude of their home office? Are they being left behind in this new model?
Not necessarily. The beauty of this evolving work landscape is that it allows for more uh, flexibility and choice. Companies are realizing that they need to cater to different working styles and preferences. Some might offer a um hybrid model,
Mm.
combining remote work with occasional in-office days. Others might create satellite offices, giving employees more localized options.
So it's about finding the right balance, the right mix of physical and virtual spaces that optimizes productivity and well-being for everyone. But with all these options on the table, it can be overwhelming for a business owner trying to make the right decision.
That's where having a clear understanding of your needs and priorities comes in. It's about aligning your space with your company culture, your budget, and your long-term vision. And remember, the real estate market is always in flux.
Right.
What works today might not work tomorrow. So stay informed, do your research, and don't be afraid to adapt as the landscape evolves.
Great advice. It's all about being nimble, strategic, and most importantly, knowing your own business inside and out. Before we send our listener off on their office space quest, there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to explore: the psychology behind it all. We've talked about the features, the finances, the logistics, but what about the emotional impact of these spaces?
Yeah.
How does the environment we work in actually affect our well-being and productivity?
Now you're getting to the heart of it. We often underestimate the power of our surroundings. Think about it. Natural light can boost mood and focus. Ergonomic furniture can prevent aches and pains. Even the color of the walls can influence our energy levels.
So it's not just about functionality; it's about creating an environment that actually supports our physical and mental health.
Precisely. And this is where those A buildings often excel.
Yeah.
They're not just creating workspaces, they're curating experiences.
Mm-mm.
They're investing in biophilic design, incorporating natural elements
Mm.
like plants and water features. They're thinking about acoustics, creating quiet zones for focused work, and collaborative spaces that encourage interaction.
So they're almost like architects of well-being, trying to design spaces that optimize human potential.
That's a great way to put it. And while buildings might not have the same budget for all the fancy bells and whistles, they can still create positive environments.
Right.
It's about thoughtful design choices,
Mhm.
optimizing natural light, and creating a sense of community.
So ultimately, it's not about the letter grade of the building,
Yeah,
but about the intentionality behind the space.
absolutely. It's about creating an environment that supports the people who work there, whether it's a state-of-the-art skyscraper
Hmm.
or a cozy converted loft.
Well said. And with that in mind, let's shift our focus to you, our listener.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring this diverse landscape of the New York City office market. But now it's time to bring it home, to connect to all these insights to your own unique situation. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, the choices you make about your workspace can have a profound impact on your business and your overall well-being. So let's dive into some practical takeaways, some actionable steps you can take to navigate this complex world and find the space that truly aligns with your vision.
Okay, so we've really explored this whole ecosystem: A buildings, B buildings, conversions, and even touched on that psychology of space a bit.
Yeah.
But for our listener today, if you were stepping into the New York City office market right now, what should be top of mind?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is there's no one size fits all answer.
Yeah.
It's about understanding your needs, your company culture, and even your personal work style.
Because a gleaming tower
Hmm.
might be perfect for one company.
But totally wrong for another.
Exactly. A startup with a remote first culture might thrive in a co-working space,
Hmm.
while a more established company might need a dedicated office to foster collaboration.
So step one is really taking a deep dive into your own requirements.
Absolutely, and don't be afraid to get creative. Maybe a traditional office isn't the right fit at all. We've seen companies setting up shop in converted warehouses, retail spaces, even former churches.
That's so New York, repurposing and reimagining space in these unexpected ways. But let's say you've narrowed it down
Yeah.
to a traditional office setup. What are the key factors when choosing between an A building and a B building?
Well, budget is obviously a major consideration,
Right.
but don't just look at the rent per square foot. Factor in things like operating expenses,
Yeah.
amenities, even the potential for future growth.
Because that bargain basement rent might come with hidden costs down the line.
Exactly. And remember, location is key. Think about accessibility for employees, proximity to clients or partners, even the overall vibe of the neighborhood.
Yeah, because sometimes being in the heart of the action is worth a premium.
Absolutely. But it's also about finding a location that aligns with your brand identity and your company culture.
And don't forget those little things, those seemingly minor details that can actually have a huge impact on employee well-being.
Right, like natural light,
Yeah.
comfortable furniture, even access to outdoor spaces. These things can make a world of difference in terms of productivity and morale.
So it's not just about finding a space to work. It's about creating an environment that supports people and fosters creativity.
Well said. And that brings us back to that key quote from Jeffrey Gurall: "The richest people are the ones who never sell."
It's about playing the long game.
Exactly.
Right, making strategic decisions that'll benefit your company for years to come.
Don't just jump at the first opportunity that comes along. Take your time, do your research, and choose a space that aligns with your long-term vision.
And remember, the real estate market is constantly evolving. What's
Brilliant.
hot today might be old news tomorrow. So stay informed, be adaptable, and don't be afraid to pivot if needed.
Great advice. And one final thought for our listener: don't underestimate the power of negotiation. Whether you're dealing with a landlord or a developer, don't be afraid to advocate for your needs
Yeah.
and try to secure the best possible terms for your business.
Because a little bit of savvy can go a long way in this market. Well, I think we've covered just about every angle of this fascinating topic. But as with any deep dive, we've only scratched the surface.
Right.
Right, there are countless stories within those walls, from the architects who design these spaces to the entrepreneurs who bring them to life.
Yeah.
So we encourage you to continue exploring, to ask questions, and to never stop learning about this dynamic world of New York City real estate.
Because whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time renter, this city has something to offer everyone.
And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself inspired to create a space of your own, adding your unique mark to this ever-evolving landscape. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.
See you then.